Well, you know, I think homophobia was used for many years to make me believe that my choices in life were very limited, to make me believe that somehow I was outside of the mainstream, that I was criminal, that I was mentally ill. That was certainly the case when I was a younger person, and there were many ways that that was sort of enforced.
Still throughout the world as you travel, you cannot be an openly gay man, and especially there's a lot of countries where homosexuality is still a crime. Acts of homosexuality are punished by death. So we have still a long way to go.
I've had signs defaced in my first election, and I had signs defaced in my last election. In fact, the lawn sign on my parents' lawn, my father's 85, my mother's 79, someone wrote fag on their lawn sign last election. And all I can say is they were lucky that my 85-year-old father didn't catch them, because they would have been better off with the police catching them than with my 85-year-old father catching them.
I have had some experiences where you know, I felt that somehow this was an issue and people looked at me differently, or statements were made. And as an MP, we actually far too frequently come across cases that we're called on to become an advocate for and to go to bat for.
Moi, quand j'étais étudiant dans les écoles publiques à Montréal, de la commission des écoles catholiques de Montréal, évidemment, il était de bon ton de rire des homosexuels, de rire des personnes qui étaient un peu efféminées.
I think homophobia touches the life of every gay and lesbian person. It also touches the lives of non-gay and lesbian people. Homophobia continues to be insidious. It's usually based in a failure for people to understand, to know, to acknowledge, and to simply accept. Throughout my life, I have experienced homophobia in different ways. I think it's made me stronger. I think it's made me understanding of people who have experienced racism or sexism or other forms of intolerance. But it's been part of growing up as a gay person in Canada.
And one of the things that I'll be doing to mark International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia is to table my private member's bill to add gender identity and expression to the Canadian Human Rights Act, and to make sure that in terms of hate crimes and sentencing, the courts can take into account transphobic violence. And I'll continue to pursue international issues related to the full rights of members of the LGBT community, issues related to refugees around the world, people who are forced from their own homes, from their own countries, because of being persecuted for being members of the community, and make sure that there is a welcome for them here in Canada and other countries that are supportive of our community.
We are, of course, always within our communities speaking out. We have done everything in terms of statements in the House, also forums. We always are doing whatever we can from our perspective to make sure that we have just laws and laws that are equal for everybody. Certainly the Civil Marriage Act was a perfect example of that and how I fought for that.
As an individual member of Parliament and as a member of Parliament within a progressive party that's had a long-standing record on this, you can never kind of like pat yourself on the back and say the job's done, because I think the nature of the real world is that there are still a lot of people who face discrimination, and so I think we have to be always vigilant. You can never rest on the fact that even though the law is on our side, you have to fight individual instances, whether it's overt homophobia, whether it's in the schools, whether it's in the workplace, whether it's in public spaces, whether it's gay bashings, and we've certainly in my community in Vancouver we've seen that take place recently, and so on all of those fronts you have to be very vigilant.
Ben, moi, ce que je fais depuis 1994, c'est de vivre ouvertement mon homosexualité, c'est de dire à mon caucus d'être comme je suis. Je pense que mon caucus a pu comprendre davantage la réalité d'homosexuel. Alors le caucus connaît mon copain Thomas.
I think that modeling is the first step. that we simply keep living our lives, we simply keep proclaiming who we are with no shame, with no apology, and we normalize the situation. So that now when I go into a classroom, as I did a few months ago at a grade 10 class at Mark Garneau Collegiate, I simply talk about my partner, and I talk about him using his pronoun, talking about him. And I normalize the situation so that I am hoping that gay and lesbian kids in that class that day will stand up and recognize that as a role model, as a member of Parliament, I simply have accepted myself and expect other people to accept me for who I am and what I am.
The fact that I don't spend a lot of time today talking about these issues and I focus on economic issues like trade and industry and finance shows you how far we've come along. I mean, Sven Robinson did it a little differently than me, but if he hadn't done it the way he did it when he did it, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. So he actually made a difference too. But my approach is a little different because it can be a little different.